Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for coming. Happy Tuesday. It's not quite Wednesday, but we're working on it. Sponsor tonight is Power Core Rods. That's me. Uh, POWERCORERODS.com. Code is Boat Ramp 10, all caps. Boat Ramp 10 gets you 10% off the core series. And our other sponsor is Kraken Jigs, which they sponsor the Friday night show. Also, that's KRAKENJIGZ.com. And that's Boat Ramp 10, all caps, gets you 10% off the whole site. It's a veteran owned company and a anything helps out the veteran groups that he works with. Um, and one other thing, shout out, it'll kind of go with the podcast tonight. Uh, Okeechobee Rustic Company, all spelled out, OkeechobeeRusticCompany.com. Um, this is Go Bug Somebody Else. This is her mosquito spray. It's all natural, and I'm here to tell you it works. I've tested it on job sites and just around the house because the mosquitoes are crazy this year. So I'm gonna tonight is Beyond the Boat Ramp with Jacques Green. I'm gonna play a little video, kind of show you what he does, and then I'm gonna bring him on and we're gonna get into it.
She was like, I don't care how bad you are, son. If somebody else out there just a little bit better. I said, no. Hell no. Mama, somebody got to be the bad.
I've been getting it since a toddler. I keep dollars on my head. Been a real one is my motto. Hit my problems, I ain't scared. I put powder on my collar, cause she proud of what I said. I'm a leader, I got on follow in my footsteps like the feds. I shoot like I'm Montana, chop up bullets, make them shit. Like I'm Black New Phantom.
Let me bring him in. How you doing tonight, Jacques? I'll call you Quiz. Are you? Did I unmute you? Oh, hold on.
There we go.
There we go. I don't know why it wasn't. Let me take this off. See, I know I can't do this. Hold on.
You're all good. But I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. Wait. Something is going on. Technical difficulties tonight. Let me just remove these and there we go. I can at least do it that way. Hold on, shift 2. It just don't want to cooperate right now. Anyway, yeah, so that was a little bit of
Disappeared there. Mm.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
I don't know what's going on. I have no idea what all that was. All right. So I'll just let you I did have some other videos. I may bring them in a little bit, but we'll worry about that later. Anyway, just tell who you are and like where you grew up and who got you into fishing, hunting, all that stuff that got you into doing what you're doing.
Alrighty, so my name is Jacquez Warren. I am from a little small country town in North Florida, named by the name of Lake Butler. It's about 30 minutes north of Gainesville for those who are unfamiliar. I got into fishing first, really, with I'd say my grandma was like my biggest inspiration for that on my mom's side. She used to go to the local lake in Lake Butler like pretty much every day, it felt like, as a kid.
Is that the one right there in town, basically?
Yeah.
In there, I think not like a community center right there on the lake or something. Yeah.
She
Okay.
fished out there for years and years from the big U-shaped dock that's actually still out there. And I actually I was so into it with her, like so into fishing at that age. I was probably, I think, maybe 6 or 7, and I got home off the school bus one day, and my mom was like half asleep, laying on the couch, and I knew like she would say, "Yeah, whatever, go away," because she's half asleep. So I was like, "Hey,
Right.
Mom, I'll walk to the lake and go fish with Granny," and she was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever, leave me alone."
Yeah.
And I walked down there. It was probably from the house at that time, from Granny's house. It was probably, I'd say, 4 or 5 miles. And I fished with Granny, and my uncle came to pick her up at dark. And he was like, "You been out here the whole time?" And I was like, "Yes, sir." And he was like, "Everybody's been looking for you. Your mom was almost called the cops and everything, freaking out." And I actually didn't get a spanking. My granny didn't let her spank me because I did ask, and she said yeah. So I got to with that one.
Yeah, and back then though, you didn't have anything to record it, did you?
No.
So far as hunting, who when did you first go hunting? I guess deer, or did you do hogs?
So deer was my first introduction to hunting. That was, I'd probably say, my dad. I went with him and learned a lot of what I know about deer hunting and stuff from him, and just spending time out there watching deer and all the other wildlife while you're out there learning things, asking questions. That's kind of where that passion stemmed from. Excuse me. And the more and more like I got into it,
Yeah.
as I grew older, like every teenage kid typically in the South does, and I started branching out from deer to turkeys and hogs and squirrels and pretty much any and everything that I legally could hunt.
Right. So I know just about, it's called Warren Outdoors Network, if y'all didn't know. That's why I have in the description WON, which is one. And in his About Us, it's about family owned, and it's basically to share with the next generation of men and women, boys, girls, and equip them with the knowledge to preserve the outdoor traditions. That's pretty much your motto. And through conservation, such as selective harvesting and habitat management. So, what made you, and when did you start? I know how we met, and we'll get into that later. But when did you decide to? I mean, obviously you got a passion for it, but when did you decide to really, try to do something with it?
I'd say the idea came to me around 2020. So which I know we'll get into a little bit more later. I had just came back from Europe with the military, and I was just kind of really enjoying some time off and being with my wife and everything. And I started to think about, passing on our traditions to the younger generation and all the outdoor stuff that I knew, or even stuff that I've learned from other people and everything like that. I figured it would be something beneficial to have or build that platform so that we can give back in that way. And we also, I don't typically mention a lot, but we also try to help support like already traditional programs that are established, like your baseball teams, football teams, all that stuff. Like we try to sponsor and just be involved as much as we can, both like here and back home. So
Right. So you help out with Lake Butler when you can. So I know how we met was, I mean, basically, I think it was on TikTok, was it not, or was it Instagram? Maybe
Instagram.
Instagram, and I had some rods, and was heavy into it. It's kind of slow right now, but doing some rods, and he reached out, and I know I was going to show the. I think it was the first. I think you got two from me. Is that right? Yeah, red one, and
Yeah.
then the white one. But the white one was first,
Yeah.
and this is the one that since I had to hold on one second. So I was just going to show this video real quick how we
A
met.
song that goes like, I see the crystal raindrops fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through.
To make those rainbows in my mind when I.
Yeah, and hey, that wasn't Quiz singing, just so y'all know.
No.
But yeah, that was the first one I did. Man, and I found that picture. I was going through my old phone, and yeah, that was a pretty that black and white just was a pretty rod. But that's how we met. And you were stationed at that time
Yeah.
out in Texas, or
At Fort Bliss.
okay. And speaking of that, I mean, I don't care if anybody name drops or not, but I know it's something I've never really done. I got buddies that do it; they take off to do it. I used to deer hunt, and I think my last time was about 15 degrees on a Thanksgiving morning in Alabama, and I was like, you know what, I'm not doing this. I had friends that had their own process in place, and I just called them at the end of the year and say how many didn't get their deer, and usually about 2 or 3 people. And anyway, but this video I found of, and I'll just let you talk about duck hunting because I've never really done it, but this was.
Speaking of another one, Jaquez emailed in just because you were talking about that.
Mallard Drake.
First Mallard Drake of his life. He's over in Fort Bliss, Texas.
Is he?
He sent that in.
Jaquez. Oh, I'm wearing a Michael Waddell shirt.
Michael Waddell shirt. And that's a beautiful Mallard Drake.
I didn't know they got them in Texas.
Well, yeah.
No, I know. I've hunted out there enough to know. They get a lot of mallards out there.
But he sent
Yeah, I thought that was a cool little video. But yeah, talk about so you did some duck hunting out there. I never really did it. I know one of the lakes that I live near and where I do the podcast on Friday nights. It's a big duck hunting lake.
Yeah.
But what's that like? I know you did a little bit out there.
So I'll start from the beginning. That was actually my second duck hunt. So that photo and the video there, I'm actually relatively new. I'm on, I think, year 2 or 3 with duck hunting per se. But I got started with a fellow military buddy of mine out there in the West Texas desert of El Paso. There's the Rio Grande River.
Yeah.
that's where we did most of our duck hunting, and it was pretty much like love at first experience.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was the best thing I've ever done, because compared to deer hunt, like deer hunting's fun, but if you get out there and those deer smell you or you bust them from talking or anything, like
Right.
they take off, more than likely they ain't coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
You flare a flock of ducks, to be so smart, they're pretty dumb. You can flare them and they'll fly down the river, maybe loaf a little bit on the water and give it a little time, and they're headed right back once you hammer on that call. It's so fun to me, and I love it so much because not only that, like you can do it so many different ways. You don't have to sit over decoys. Like out there, it was real popular because there's so many ducks and there's a long stretch of river. And after like the first few weeks of the season, they get real smart and decoy shy. And
Yeah.
just jump ducks. And I've pretty much done that. You'll just walk along the river and flare them pretty much to get up in flight. And their slowest moments in flight is like that first 30 to 45 seconds when they're gaining that lift and elevation.
Yeah.
And that's your best time to harvest one when you're jumping them. So I've done it multiple different ways, and like I've enjoyed it from every angle, especially trying or doing it here now in Georgia as well, getting to shoot wood ducks and stuff, and just different species, and
Yeah.
a lot of it.
So do you duck hunt mainly in the area you're at? You said you were in Augusta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully this year I'd like to do, I've actually was talking about it with my wife. I want to do like some traveling a little bit and try to duck hunt in some different places and get some good videos and stuff like that for the channel and get back going.
Yeah. So speaking of, I know that one, I got hacked on Facebook, so I had to start a whole new thing, and I've been debating on if I'm gonna do a separate page for the rods and for the girls business, because it all got hacked, like everything. So I know I kind of not really lost touch, but I hadn't seen much.
Yeah.
And I know that you got stationed, went from Fort Bliss, now you're in Augusta.
Yeah.
And so what's it, I guess question is, what's it like, I know what it's like with me, and I guess it'd kind of be the same, having a regular job. Basically, the military's your regular job, and we'll get into the family stuff. But what's it been like trying to get that going and having to do the military? And how long you been in?
So I'll go last first. I've been in right now for 6 years.
Okay.
But just battling that, kind of dual hatting back and forth between an actual job and trying to get the content thing going and run another company, like it. Obviously, you understand it can be
right.
But honestly, I kind of enjoy it. I like having a lot on my plate, trying to be busy and do a lot, and it makes the days go by faster. You're not all that. But now when you sprinkle
go ahead
there, then that's when stuff gets interesting.
Yeah. What do a lot of the guys, now that you transferred or whatever, do a lot of them know what you try to do, or have you?
Yeah, it typically doesn't take that long for them to find out.
Right.
Me talking, I'm going to reference back to hunting or fishing or something. How you get guided in that direction.
Is there still, I know my cousin is he says it's his last move.
Yeah,
that's what he's hoping. He's in Maryland now. He's a recruiter, and what's the military kind of like without saying too much? Is it what a lot of people think it is with the higher ups, or is it not like that? Amongst the guys and girls, is it different than the higher ups and what they try to get y'all to do or anything like that? Or
So honestly, it's based off really person to person, as well as like different situations, because everywhere is different. Here is totally different from what I had when I was at Fort Bliss, and they could always be better or worse. It just depends on where you are, what you do, and all that stuff. But I would definitely say, like, a lot of times you do have difficulty when it comes to that with like certain leadership and stuff. You just have to be very careful to protect yourself. And a lot of times in those environments, everyone typically ends up kind of just bonding together and figuring out a way to make it through and get to where they need to be with their career.
So, I mean, has it changed like drastically in the 6 years you've been, or has it been kind of consistent?
From the very beginning, I would say drastically. It was so now.
So you were what, in for a year or two before COVID hit, basically?
Yeah, 2 years.
Okay. So I'm sure it was kind of drastic after right there at 20.
Yeah, and which ironically, I was once that like really kicked off and the whole quarantine thing was like super big. I was actually back in Europe, and so it was a little bit different. Like we still quarantining everything towards the end of my time out there, but it was more so just like us, our tight knit group, staying together and just hanging out until we came back home.
Yeah, and so basically you got to find the ones that have your like-minded. I mean, how you think. You try to find those people to stick with wherever you go.
You'll be surprised in the military. That's like, so naturally, I am a introvert. I will be okay sitting in the corner, not talking to anyone and minding my business unless like, I know you are uncomfortable. But the military has made me like extroverted and be proactive when it comes to being a conversationalist and like actually talking to people. You find different ways to connect with each other, different likes, dislikes, and all that stuff. So you literally like become brother and sister and like bond and mess.
Yeah. But you do still, I mean, you still try to find ones that are like-minded.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, and I never was really an introvert, but the older I get, the more I always wanted to stay in the background, and construction helped me be vocal. I mean, I even kept, when I had speech classes, I kept all my teachers' grades on every speech I did, and it was basically speak up and quit saying and I never really wanted to put myself out there, and I didn't until 2021 maybe.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing the podcast. I kind of like it, but because I like hearing people's stories and talking to them, but yeah, I get what, certain circumstances brings out something that you didn't think you had, and and it only helped when you really try to get everything going again, with the network. So what's your I guess with the network and going back to that, what do you want to see happen maybe in the last in the next year or so? What do you want to try to do with it? I mean, what plans? I know you've rattled stuff off in your head.
Yeah.
So what's some goals you want to try to do?
So goals in the future, I'd say in the next year here locally, I have a year and 6 months left in the military. So
okay,
then I am free and we're going back to normalcy. So what I plan to do while I'm still here, I want to like get more involved in the local community. Maybe see if we can establish some conservation programs and just some outdoor educational programs with
Right.
the local DNR here, with all the local schools or anything like that. Any ways we can be involved and enrich the community, make it better around us, and just try to keep cranking out some more videos.
Yeah. Do you see yourself? Are you plan on staying in that area? Do you like it, or do you think you're gonna head back to Florida once it's all said and done?
We're looking a little bit further south of here, but north of Florida, just probably maybe I think 30 minutes to an hour north of the Florida line. So I'm not too close to family, but not too far.
So yeah, so maybe like Tifton-ish area, Tifton, all that. Look, maybe a little bit higher than that.
Yeah, around there.
Well, I don't know, Valdosta, all that. That's about an hour from Gainesville, an hour and a half, I think. Yeah. So yeah, and I know some good people up there, and it's kind of like being down here, that area, you know, just farming. That's that's my daughter went to high school in Moultrie, so that was all farming, cotton fields and vegetables and all that. So now speaking of family, what how'd you meet your wife? She from Lake Butler too, or did you?
No, that's actually a funny story that I would love.
Okay.
So her family has a like get together at Lake Gunnersville every year.
Okay.
And we were there this past weekend.
All right.
And her aunts were around, and we were just sitting around talking, and one of them asked the story. So I'll give it to you as well.
Okay.
She is from Dixie County over there on the coast, and football in high school. And after football practice, I was actually going to the basketball game. I think our girls, our junior varsity boys, and varsity boys were all playing that night against Dixie. And I was actually going to meet someone else that I knew on her team, and I ended up pretty much talking to her the whole night. And me thinking I'm being clever, I'm like, hey, can I have your phone number or whatever before she left? And she looked dead in my face and was like, why do you need my phone number? I ain't going to remember you tomorrow.
So Dixie County, that's
Cross City.
Okay, West Coast. Yeah. I mean, that's where everybody, Lake Butler, Lake City, all Yankee Town, all that's where everybody goes and hangs out on the coast. So yeah, she said she wouldn't remember you, and I guess she did.
Yeah, that's been coming up November. Yeah, around like November-ish. That'll be 10 years ago.
10 years. 10 years. And I know at the time you were active, and I did the rods for you and everything. You had one child, but you told me earlier on you got two now.
Yep. So I have a 2-year-old. Her name is Robin, and my youngest child is 6 months, and her name is Reese.
Okay. So 2 girls.
Yes, sir.
2 girls. I got you. And you said you're going to stop there.
Yeah, I don't want to take a chance at a third. I'm already surrounded by women in the house. Even the dog is a female.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the way I was growing up. I was the only boy cousin, and we were all close. But I had my one daughter, and my mom always like, sure wish I had more grandkids. I said, well, let's say you better talk to my sister unless the Lord has finds me somebody's already got kids. That's about all you getting. And she was born on my mom and dad's anniversary, so I told them, I said, I ain't getting y'all no more presents.
That's the best you can get right there.
That's right. That's right. So I seen some videos. The one that doing the duck call, is that the oldest one?
Yeah.
On TikTok. Okay.
Yeah. she's still at it, blowing it pretty much every other day. When I have it out, she's coming to get it.
Now, does Mama like to fish too?
Yeah, she'll fish.
Yeah, she'll fish.
Mhm.
I mean, that ain't one of her priorities, right?
So if she had to pick between the two, she'd rather go hunting with me than fishing.
Okay. She like the shooting house.
Mm-hmm.
You do any hog hunting?
Yeah, I've done a little.
Yeah, and that's what I grew up doing where I live. I mean, I know there's some up that way, but
Yeah.
that's what kept us out of like real trouble in high school was we'd leave baseball practice or a game on Friday night and head straight to the woods. And a bunch of my buddies, their dads had leases and had campers and stuff, and there'd be about 10, 15 of us just go down there and hunt till 2 o'clock in the morning, and kept us out of trouble. And that, like with these kids nowadays, that's one of the things is they need to get outside and get off the internet. They actually need to write letters, make them write letters to their girlfriends.
A lot of the old lost arts.
Yes. I mean, one girl I was talking to that's been in, the school system forever, and we were talking about that. They said we need to just hire you to have a class on, writing letters and doing things where they can't have a phone or nothing. And I said they would die. They but they need to do outside. And like one of my goals, you talk about trying to do some stuff for the community. One of the things I'd like to do is and one of the things I've started doing with the girls, I quit sponsoring older. I basically sponsor girls now that are middle school and younger.
Yeah.
So my 3 pro staff I have right now is one's 9. I think 2 of them 9, between 9 and 11, and one's a little bit younger. And they appreciate it, and it's fun. When the dads send me like the 2 sisters, they're 2 sisters, and they win every time they go. And up north, they're in Pennsylvania, so a lot of their fishing is pond fishing or at a stream or whatever. And those girls come in first, second, or third every tournament they go to, and it's just fun because they appreciate everything that I try to do, when I can. And have you thought about doing some programs or whatnot? Or
Yeah, I've been actually talking to my wife about it. We sponsor her high school. We sponsor they have a bass fishing program there in Dixie County.
Okay.
We them for a few years, and that's one of the things ideas I've been bouncing off of her head and just seeing what she thinks about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's see. Well, high school just when did they start that? In the spring?
Yeah.
Or is it year round? Spring, mainly. Well, maybe we can talk before the end of the year, and if there's any girls on there, maybe we can go in together and do something like that. So you're in Augusta now. What do you do in the military? I mean, you just
So I am a 35 Lima, which is like my MOS code, which stands for counterintelligence.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are you planning to go to school afterwards, or are you just?
I'm finishing up. So one thing that if I can impress upon any kid is if you're going to college at all, do it while you're young. Don't wait. Don't be like me.
Yeah.
Until you decide like, hey, I want to do this, and you actually need that degree, and it takes you longer to complete it. I'm currently enrolled right now at Liberty University.
Okay.
And I have, I think, like 3 semesters roughly, and then I'll have my bachelor's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You gonna try to have all that done before you get
Yeah.
out of the military?
Yes,
That
sir.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I tried it for I don't know, a semester one time and then tried it for I went for about 2 years, but I was just, taking two or three classes a semester, and working.
Yeah.
And then finally I was like, yeah, it's not really for me. And now, hindsight, yeah, I wish I would have finished, but, I tell my daughter, I told her, I said, she graduated from college and she, it was like, it was a waste or whatever. And I was like, no, I said, I'll trade you. I said, because I mean, basically the whole gist of even the military and college, what I told my daughter I had to wait till I was 40 to actually negotiate the first time how much I was worth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I said you can do that early in your life, and what they look at is you actually finish something.
Mm-hmm.
You went to college, you finished.
Yeah.
Like military, if you went to military, you did 4 years, you finished. Or what is it? 4 years now or 3 years? Is it 4?
So it ranges. It's from anywhere from 3 to 6.
3 to 6.
Yeah.
I got you. So there's no 4 anymore. It's just 3 or 6.
Well, you can do 3
Yeah.
to 6, so you can do a 4, a 5. Or
Oh, okay. Okay. But a lot of times it's 3 or 6 now. I got you. Um, let's see. We've covered quite a bit. I know were you doing lures at one time, or you weren't doing lures?
I was dabbling with it a little bit, and just honestly just got too busy and couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah. Somebody asked me a question. I don't know what he was asking. um. So uh uh let's see this part, the selective harvesting. What is that? For as how do you see that for
So
selective?
a lot of people, I'll explain it with bass, which is highly controversial with a lot of people because they believe, you shouldn't eat them. But naturally, you can't have too much of anything.
Right.
Otherwise, they won't grow or reach that peak or whatever. So
Right.
we'll reference and say in a pond, if you're trying to grow trophy bass, obviously you have to limit that population. So you need to go through and harvest certain sizes, typically a range of like the most, say, if you're catching like a bunch of 14 inchers and they're just kind of like peaked there, there's not
Right.
bigger, you probably should start harvesting some of those versus, say, with pretty much my grandmother, which is hilarious when it comes to fishing. My grandmother's daughter, my great grandmother is who taught me, like, got me into fishing, and her daughter is like always on me all the time when she sees my videos. Quiz, you
Uh
throwing them fish back, and
huh.
hard time all the time because the way I was raised, we fish to eat, not like just for the sport.
Right. Right.
Like where I am now, like where it's something that I actually enjoy and the pleasure. So it kind of having that background and realizing the difference of me like harvesting a bass or like of a certain size. Whereas now I won't really harvest or take home a bigger bass, especially if it's like a female versus
Right.
because I want her genetics to continue and I want to put her back in there and let her grow and make beautiful big babies. So I kind of cut it off with certain sizes of certain fish, and Also, obviously, depends on like where you are and the regulations and all that stuff. But that's kind of my ordeal with that.
I have to ask my co-host on Friday night, but I know he told me, and I wish I knew the size. But Lake Istapoga that he lives on, the game warden has told him, look, quit throwing those little ones. It was a certain size back. They said you need to start taking those to the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for me to take a bass to the house. Now, don't get me wrong, they're good to eat.
Yeah.
I mean, really, the only thing I harvest as far as freshwater is speck during speck season.
Yeah.
That's crappie for you Yankee people, and bluegill every now and then, because that's where everybody started pretty much, a bobber and some worms, red worms. And what a lot of people, and you can comment on it, but a lot of people don't know that's the same thing with deer.
Yeah.
So when I was living in Alabama, if I do go hunting, I go hunting in Eufaula. And my dad pastored the church there, and he was just there for 1 year, and those people became like family. And they have 1,500 acres that they own themselves. And so they, at one point, they were on their own management program. They had to harvest like 40, I think it was like at least 40 plus doe a year off that property.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And it was, I mean, they had some big deer in there. And, but then all of a sudden, at that same time, it was like 1 deer a day in Alabama during season, for the state. Well, all of a sudden they started getting deformed deer, started getting sick deer. And what people don't understand, if you do not harvest correctly, you could get diseased animals and everything else. So all of a sudden now Alabama, they've stretched out their season. I think it's to the second week in February or something like that now.
Wow.
And it's 2 deer a day. You can get 2 doe or a doe and a buck a day. And once they did that, they got rid of their program because they tell everybody that me and my dad ruined their program in 1 day. So anyway, so that a lot of people don't know that harvesting, you have to harvest every now and then.
Yep. I've experienced that personally with deer. There's a buddy of mine, actually my childhood best friend. We've been literally friends since kindergarten. Every time I come home to Florida, anytime I want to do any hunting and stuff, I'll hunt on his property or his family's property. And there's a unicorn buck that he had out there, and we called him a unicorn because he literally had one growing right through the middle of his head straight up. And
really?
You don't want those genetics to continue.
No.
That buck, especially if you're trying to have nice mature bucks with a good rack.
Right.
Of deer like that, and you don't want them breeding your does.
And I will tell you, over in Dixie County, buddy, they got some nice deer. Of course, there's a lot of I forget all the properties down there, but they have those trophy going towards Swanee. When you see the 10-foot fences, you know that somebody's got a management program going on. But the harvesting and I mean the conservation. Like, I wish the guy had a card.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing, there's a tournament I want to put on after he said it, and I'm gonna figure out how to do it. But he said he wants to do a fly fishing tournament, and it'd be a 2-day tournament. And what you do is you get people that have stands, like some cheaper fly tying stands, get them to donate for the tournament, and you go to an island and pick up trash for the first day, and that first day you got to take a certain part of the trash you picked up and make a fly out of it, tie a fly.
That'd be
And
awesome.
then the next day you go and whoever catches the biggest fish with their trash fly wins the tournament. I said, dude, I'm in. Here's my card. Give me a call. And I'm like, I wish I wish I could I wish I knew who the guy was. I mean, if I seen him, I'd know who he is, but he said he was just getting back into fishing. I guess he used to be a guide or something. But anyway, we were standing in line at the CCA booth, and yeah, I ain't seen him. I don't know who he is, but if I end up doing that tournament, I'm gonna say something about him every time until he finds me or whatever. But yeah, so that that'd be the like conservation. Like I love what Mang Mang Gear. You know that clothing company?
Yeah.
You ever heard of? But I mean, when you buy stuff from them, they plant mangroves.
Yeah.
They have a big thing, like a weekend thing, and everybody goes plants. So yeah, that would be something to, and you might up that way. You might get into doing something conservation with the ducks and everything. Because I can already tell that you really like the duck hunting.
Yeah, that's like number one of all my extracurricular activities. Like that's my favorite of favorites.
Is it an adrenaline rush or like?
Honestly, it's not even really that. I don't even have to kill a bird to have a good time. Just being there, seeing them in their environment, and just experiencing it is awesome to me. And there's so many different species and all the different feather colors and everything. Like
Right.
It gets me.
We had a little. If you know the definition between a lake and a pond, we had a lake, and it was there was I think 6 people lived. I had a place on it, my mom and dad, and it was about 1,500 foot long. But dude, we had so many different varieties of ducks come in that actually there was 2 photographers that come down to my mom and dad's place and set up their tents to do photography because the one guy had his picture for the duck stamp twice. And
awesome.
we had probably 5 different species of ducks that would come in that little lake.
Wow.
With the mergansers, the one that tripped me out, because the funny thing about them, they'll be in the water and they swim in a V. They're going down the thing, and then they'll go underwater.
Yep.
And then 100 yards down or 50 feet down, they'll pop up in the same V.
Mm-hmm.
So craziest thing to watch.
And they look cool too with that little hood.
Yeah. And I was actually, I had taught that guy I was going to build duck houses, everything that, have them come down there. But I don't know if he ever got a shot, a photo off of those ducks or what. But yeah, it was neat to see just the different species that would come in. And did you go goose hunting?
Yeah. So my first time doing that was here once we got to Georgia last year, which was also fun. There's a ton of geese out here. I see them on base all the time. But they're like, I didn't realize how huge they are until I actually held one in my hand.
Yeah.
And they're pretty massive and they're pretty cool too. They are very similar to ducks. I'd say probably a little bit dumber than a duck, but
they're more aggressive than a duck, aren't they? I mean,
so around like your springtime when they're like getting ready to have babies or just have babies, that's when they're kind of crazy. But
yeah,
right now they're just hanging out and eating up for the winter pretty much.
So do you have to have a permit shoot the geese?
So
I guess.
with geese, it's the same. Pretty much all waterfowl, and most every state is the same. So you got to have your general hunting license, and then you pay for your federal duck stamp.
Yeah.
And if there's any, like I know for Florida, there's a state. It's basically like a duck stamp, but a state version, and it's like $5. But you got to pay for that here in Georgia. But in like Florida, you don't. In Texas, you don't. You just need a hunt license and your duck stamp.
So like you said, Florida doesn't or does have to have a duck stamp.
So you just have to have a federal duck stamp. Your
federal.
And your
Okay. So federal duck stamp will allow you to shoot geese too. I didn't know there was actually a season for geese.
Yeah. So, and it varies per state. Like I know, I can't remember exact dates, but I know in Florida, it should be coming up soon. They have early teal season, and down there during early teal season, you can harvest teal and wood ducks. And they'll have an early goose season as well, and you can only harvest the Canada goose, which is the one we typically see everywhere.
Is that the ones that hang around the ponds?
Yeah, the black and white ones.
Yeah.
So
basically, if you have a goose stamp, you can just go to the pond and shoot one, or they gotta be flying. I'm just asking.
You can. So, which is another thing that I've learned in some parts of the duck hunting community.
Yeah.
Water swatting, and some people it's frowned upon, but me personally, pretty much anybody I've hunted with, like that's fine. Actually, my first wood duck, I water swatted it. I was in the swamp up here, and wood ducks, they fly super early, like pretty much like right at daylight, right at legal shooting light, sometimes before.
Yeah.
First wood duck I shot, circled around, because a lot of times they'll make 2 or 3 passes before they dump in the hole. And he did, I think, 2 passes and dumped probably 20 yards to my right. And I just looked over, and he was sitting there. And as soon as I went to throw up on him, he started to get up, but he never had a chance.
I mean, the geese tripped me out because, yeah, I know. When I was up in Alabama, there, you have all these complexes, and there's like 40 geese around that freaking pond, and I'm like, man, how come nobody shoots these? I thought they were like protected or something, but yeah, what's that?
Just got to be in season.
Man, so they basically in the same season as duck? Whenever duck season's in, they're in.
They'll have a early season. It's typically somewhere around the same time as the teal, and then when your general duck season opens with all the ducks, I think around like November typically for all the states, and that's when you can harvest your geese, and then they'll have obviously your bag limits of how many per species and all that stuff. But
I guess you ate the one you shot.
Yeah, so
they taste pretty good.
Yeah, I'm actually planning and hoping I can get quite a few this year, and I'm gonna make some sausage. I've been making my own deer sausage for a little while now, and I'm good at it. So I think I want to try geese next. I've seen some YouTube videos and heard that it's pretty good if you can do it right. So I'm gonna try to see if I can nail that down.
Well, I got to ask one thing because we're getting close, but one thing out in Texas, sandhill cranes. You're allowed to harvest those out there, aren't you?
Yeah, and
I heard they were good to eat.
I've heard they're like the ribeye of the sky is what I hear, but I was never close enough to one to even look at it.
Now, if I was out in Texas, I'd probably want to shoot one. In Florida, I just couldn't bring myself to do it.
Yeah,
but I have heard that they are. I may just have to make a trip out to. I heard they were good to eat.
Yeah, I've heard the same from everybody I've asked.
I'm surprised you didn't try to get you one of them hunts in.
Yeah, well, So, and that's the thing. It'll come. I'll have a little bit more freedom once I'm out of the military, and it'll
Right.
be easier to travel. So that's kind of one of those goals. I want to travel all across the country and possibly even the globe if I can. Go down to like Mexico, go up to Canada, because like waterfowl hunting and like those countries, from
Yeah.
research I've done and seen, is like awesome. It's a different experience, and I also want to try to kind of go back in time and do it the old school way, and go to Europe if I can one day and try to do
Well,
it. Like they did it back before we were here.
I think Uruguay. Isn't Uruguay a good duck hunting, or is that
That's one of
that
the
pheasants or dove or something?
yeah.
Or yeah.
Good with
Yeah.
dove.
Well, man, I appreciate you getting on. I know it's been a minute since we talked, and I know the whole moving and another child, and you know, life gets in the way of everything. But like I said, maybe near the end of the year we talk, and y'all want me to maybe help out over there in Dixie County,
All right.
you know, and maybe we can do something together or something. But yeah, man, if you ever want to get on again, talk about something else, just give me a call, because yeah, I enjoyed just talking and hearing your whole story. Anyway, I mean, we just basically TikToked and Instagrammed, and that's about it. But yeah, and so yeah, when you get back down this way, holidays, holler at me. Maybe I can come up. We fish one of them little ponds up there.
Sounds good, man. I'll definitely enjoy that. And thanks for having me. I sure will.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. And where can people find you? I know I listed it in the description, but just go ahead and tell where people
Pretty
can
much
find you.
Warren Outdoors Network on everything. So on Facebook, we have a Facebook page, a TikTok page, YouTube, Instagram, pretty much
Yeah.
almost everything. You can just Warren Outdoors Network. You can find us there.
All right, and that's in the description below, and sponsors are, and even the shout out. And hey, I'm telling you, you come down, I'll buy you a bottle of Go Bug Somebody Else, because it works. It works. Because I know in Florida you're gonna have to have some mosquito spray, and it's not oily. And dude, this is great. But anyway, thanks for coming on, and good luck. You got a year and a half left, and yeah, maybe we can get together soon.
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm ready.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, I appreciate y'all tuning in, and look out for Thursday night. We're a Cowboy Preacher. I'll be putting out the subject, but we're going to be, I think the subject, what we talked about was, is it more than just politics? So we are going to do something political, but that's going to be about it. And, probably won't bring it up again, but, there's just some things that we want to discuss, and, yeah, tune in. It ought to be a good one. Thanks for watching.